Now we're live. Hello, everybody.
Let me go to like
Live chat and greet everybody that's in here.
Instagram. Let me go to live chat here. No, live chat I said. Okay. Up on the top, all the way from the top, fireflies here, and they're clinging to an empty baked potato.
Hello, Vilefly.
To an
He,
empty
he's
baked
having
potato.
he's having loaded baked potatoes tonight.
Oh, I want
Mm,
some.
cheese and bacon.
Uh, Jay is here.
Jay's gonna try to be here.
He's trying to stay awake.
Yeah.
Mark Sobe.
Yes. Hello, Mark.
Let's see, let's see. Karen Morrissey.
Hello, Daniel. Thank you for joining us.
Stephen Andrews.
Stephen Andrews. Yes, I already sent him a message.
Barracuda.
Very Kuda. Hello.
Let's see. Fernando second channel. Patrick is here.
Hello, Patrick
Buddy Carafano.
and Buddy. Hello.
Also Stray Bullet.
Stray Bullet, and we can see him.
Yeah, because I changed to live chat.
Nothing much, Mark. I just keep getting messages. I've got 4 different people on the black Ram Charger I showed last week. One guy said it was too expensive for him, so this one that you're seeing right now is the one I'm showing him. It needs a dashboard, it needs the seat to be sewed, it needs all kinds of stuff. I'm trying to get the quote from the transport company to take it from Florida to New Jersey to see if he'll go for it.
Josh Holman is here.
Hello, Josh.
Mark says, "You're welcome. Thank you for having me." Mark says, "More snow today than ice pellets."
What's ice pellets?
Why are you yawning? You're making me yawn.
I am not. You're yawning. Snow pellets are like, what do you call it? Hail?
Barfly says, pokes at the empty potato and ponders
Token.
tokamak design.
Don't know. All of them seem to have a damaged carpet back here.
I was working on the
Yes, Mark, but I offered it to the guy that just bought the green one, but he wants close-up pictures of the little bit of damage that's on the right side. So I asked for that picture, and he'll get me that soon. But I was working with another guy on it, and I just got a message saying, I'm really interested in this. How can we make this happen? So there is a red one that I could sell also. That's not as nice as the black one, but it has lower miles by a tiny little bit. So maybe I could get a couple of sales here. Maybe three of them.
let me see. Mark says that's good. Cell closure on the horizon.
Hope so.
Firefly says fusion power that is. Oh, stick shift.
Yes, stick shift. That's that's the only reason we would even look at a truck like this because it has the torn seat as you can see there. It needs a complete dashboard in it. Um, it's a blue that I've never seen before, but the guy says it's original to the truck. It says on the factura it was blue. I've never seen one in that color, but this is a 2001 model, so maybe. And I checked the date, and it is 25 years old. It was made in October of 2000, so it is 25 years old, so it can cross. So as soon as I get the quote from the transport company, the guy will decide if he wants this one. This one is in Estado de Mexico, so it's
Faith,
a short trip from Estado de Mexico to the port.
Faith Van Arcus here.
Hello, Faith. Hope you're feeling okay.
Simrando says, "Hey, Mexican Spec, what was Bob the Campo going on about on that live a few days back between you and some guy? I didn't see the comments. Steven Andrews wants the tea."
Yeah, Steve. On another guy's site, he was posting videos about no name nationals, and he posted the race between Kim and her 66 Dart Slant 6 against this guy's Chevy S10 with a supercharged 2.8. And the supercharged truck barely beat Kim's car. And then he showed the same truck against an inline 6-cylinder 66 Mustang. And I probably shouldn't have used the word embarrassed, but I said he should be embarrassed that his truck, that they got to the line at the same time. And he took it personally and left me this huge reply that he's really pissed off and all that stuff. Something about his wife. I didn't read anything about that. And then he said basically that if you don't have the same experiences that I have, you have nothing to say about it. But he says a lot about Uncle Tony, and he hasn't had the same experiences as Uncle Tony has. So I replied to his message saying, I'm sorry you took it that way. And I thought it was over. And part of the message he sent to me was, you should not have anything to do with the No Name Nationals group. You should not come into the live. I don't want you there, all that stuff. So then he goes on and makes a video about it to try to get the No Name National people to like cancel me, basically. So I haven't had any interactions with him or anything. As far as I'm concerned, it was over, and he showed who he was.
So yeah, he likes to fight with Mr.
He's not only fighting. No, the guy's not only fighting with me. He doesn't like Uncle Tony. He doesn't like this. He doesn't like that. There's a common denominator there. So whatever. He gets upset about comments on the internet.
So anyway, Butterfly says, got the dash in denim, lol, with buckets.
There's no dash in it at all, Vilefly. There's just nothing there. There's just the wiring for the instruments. But they sell the dashes here. We can easily put a dash in. Unfortunately, the truck is in Mexico City, so it would be 400 kilometers to get it there. And I don't have anybody there to do it, and we can't spend days there waiting for that to happen. So the truck has to be sold as it is.
As is.
Yeah. So, and he's seen all the pictures and everything, because the other ones were too expensive, but this one's still coming out at over $8,000 to get it landed in Florida. But a lot of that goes to the customs agent here and the shipping company. The thing's being transported thousands and thousands of miles to get over there. So I don't know. It does cost some money.
Anyway, Max says, Mexican Spec, somewhere up in the sky it rains, and instead of turning into snow, the rain freezes and falls as ice pellets. Freezing rain falls to the ground as rain then freezes.
Isn't that called hail?
Firefly says, we call that hail or sleet.
Yeah.
That's
hail. That damages the cars.
Morrison says, beautiful. Dodge truck. Wow.
Yeah, there was only a few pictures, though.
Paco Alpha's here.
Hello, Paco Alpha.
Dice, hola amigos, saludos aquí, llegando un poco tarde, pero llegando. Eso se cuenta.
Muy poco, acaba de empezar.
Butterfly says, ceiling, wow. Triple says, that's kind of a neat old truck. Fernando says, geez. Butterfly says, dang, that was a crazy reaction. Egomaniac reaction.
Yeah, for a simple. I probably shouldn't have used the word embarrassed, but I wasn't gonna, go tell everybody that I know, that I did this, he did that. It was a non-issue for me. And then he goes and makes a video trying to get me kicked out of the No Name Nationals thing. And the only person that can do that is John Wilburn. And John will probably pop in here any minute since I just said his name. It's kind of like that.
Chris is here and they say, hello Max, heading off to bed. Just wanted to pop in and say hi.
Hello, Chris. Thank you for popping in. Thank you for your pop in.
That sounded weird, but okay. Straight Willie says, it's exactly why I don't get involved with groups such as that. Sorry.
No, the groups are fine. I was in the Friday Live with John, and he was in there too. He didn't say anything to me. I didn't say anything to him. Everybody's fine. So I'm not worried about it.
Butterfly says, a little fiberglass impregnated denim. A little cutting and sanding low. Barracuda is here.
Hello, Barry.
It says, sounds thin-skinned.
Yes, and you should not be on the internet if you're thin-skinned. That's for sure.
Trouble says, is that a chain steering wheel?
Probably. Yep. It is a 68 Impala in Mexico. So.
Face Fanatic says, I found out that I can't have apple juice.
What happens to you when you drink apple juice?
Are you allergic? Surrender says, I used to moderate a Facebook page. People like that drove me away 9 years ago.
He's to be ignored, so that's what I do.
Mark says, Mexican Spec, too small to classify as hail.
So it doesn't damage the vehicles?
I guess not.
Because when we experienced hail in Hidalgo, it hurt. It hurt
Mm-hmm.
both of us, and there were big welts on both of our backs when
Mm-hmm.
we got up to the hotel room.
Daniel Morrison says, clean bug.
The white walls.
The white walls.
Did you notice what year it was, Daniel?
Love the white walls.
Was it a 1968 or 69?
What was?
The bug.
I don't know.
I think it was a 68 model or 69 model. And that's how they came out in Mexico with all the 67 parts on them. So it's not like somebody took a 69 and put the 67 parts on them. That's how it was sold here when it was new.
People that also like the needle bug. Face Bernard says, I'm allergic and it makes me sick when I get allergic to apple juice. Oh, that's bad.
I wonder what it is. Can you eat apples? Or is it the apple that you're allergic to?
Well, that's the same question.
No, but, because they have other ingredients in the apple juice.
They shouldn't, but sure.
They put preservatives and all kinds of stuff over there.
Butterfly says, I need to check the price of a swatch of denim. Ideas are afoot. Might be a market or just about fashion statement.
The denim cars that they built, the AMCs, the Gremlin, and all that. It was not denim. It was not Levi's denim that they used on the upholstery because you cannot use denim for upholstery. It doesn't work. It doesn't stretch. You can't do anything with it. So it was a denim-like material. So it's not really good to use that for anything inside a car.
Mark says, so ice pellets is the same as lead. Where I'm from, we call it ice pellets.
Oh, okay.
Chris says 69.
I'm assuming you're talking about the Beetle and not something else.
Believe in Yourself is here.
Hello, Believe.
And they say, well, what do you call a man who can lift up a car? Jack.
Of course.
Daniel Morrison says, no, did not notice, Mrs. Spec. I was scanning the car. Mr. Spec. Faith says allergic to apples. Oh, okay.
Yeah, you should stay away from apples. I wonder if you're allergic to all the apples, because there are so many different kinds of apples. I mean, you don't need apples in your life. I've never had apples, and I'm fine. I'll say I'm fine. I don't know if she will.
No. Triple says that Belvedere will be perfect for Tony to swap in a motorhome for 13.
Yeah, did you notice the interior, Stray Bullet? Real leather interior front and back. Leather bench seat with fold-down armrest. Real leather front and back. Somebody spent some money on that interior. And it's nice. It looks nice.
Josh Homan says, hail is more ice pellets. Sleet is frozen rain.
Well, we found out that there's two types of hail. I mean, when Mrs. Spec and I walked out into the hail, it hurt. But it did not hurt the cars in the parking lot. There were no hail dents, nothing like they get in Oklahoma, like Auto Action Rebuilds. Every year he gets his cars damaged by hail. But there were no damages, no damage on our car, no damage on the newer crappy cars. So it wasn't, I mean, it hurt us, but it didn't hurt the cars. So I was told that there's the softer hail and then the ones that had, that are more like ice.
Particles.
Yeah. But in the next morning, there were little pebbles all over my car. So there were little pebbles inside the hail, wherever that came from.
Mark says, Mexican Spec, no damage caused by ice pellets, way too small. Almost feels like heavy raindrops. No need to run for cover.
Oh, okay.
Balefly says, oh, I was thinking of impregnating the denim with clear fiberglass resin. The look is what I'm going for.
Oh, okay. But what are you going to put it on? You going to make a dashboard out of it or something?
Believe says, I'm going to Mexico and I want to swim with dolphins. My wife actually wanted to swim with the sharks, but they are too expensive. I hear it costs an arm and a leg.
It does, but you swim with sharks in Florida. You don't have to go all the way to Mexico. Don't they? Isn't there dolphins around here somewhere in Mazatlan or on Topo over here?
There's a dolphin, Pechocho.
There has to be more than one. If it was just one
If you're
dolphin,
talking about Topo, there's one dolphin it's called Pechocho.
there's no way he's gonna stick around.
He
He,
has. He's been relocated and he comes back. Anyways, Triple is laughing. Lily Carofano says McDonald's apple pies are the only apples I eat.
you know what? I have not seen apple pies for sale here. I used to get them for Jose. I have not seen those for sale at our McDonald's in a long, long time. It's not on the menu anymore.
You haven't looked for them either.
But no, they had the thing right in front that had the apple pies. I haven't seen it for sale in a long, long time.
Slimo's here.
Hello, Slimo.
Slimo says my body's Subaru looked like a golf ball after a hailstorm seeing sleep.
Yeah, well, that should make it drive better. Just like a golf ball flies through the air better because it has the dents on it. The car should drive better too.
Believe in Yourself says I have a new funny joke to share, but I shall not. It's grown on me now. Wildfly says a dashboard is the plan, denim dash cover. That is.
Oh, the dash cover. Well, here they sell a fiberglass dash that you put in the Rams, the Dodge Rams, and it never breaks again. That's one thing that he didn't even say anything about was the cracks in the dash.
Trouble says that Subaru could be saved. Daniel Morris says 1970 Chevy is mega nice, old school.
Yeah, and it's imported, I think, because it's a four-wheel drive. We didn't have four-wheel drives here, and we really didn't have Suburbans. Most of these trucks that were sold here were panel trucks. So somebody's done a lot of work on this and paint a school bus yellow.
Trouble says I was so excited I couldn't type. Steven Andrews says, yeah, Mythbusters tested that. And then Mercer says, how much is the 1970 Suburban? Sorry.
It is a lot of money. I mean, asking price is in the 350,000 peso range, but then add in the travel and the transport and everything. Yeah, this guy wants a lot of money for it. He put a lot of money into it.
Triple says, ballpark American money on a Suburban Mexican.
I'd have to calculate it, Stray Bullet, because I'm not sure. I don't remember where it is and how far I have to go and where to take it to. Because it all depends on where I'm taking it to. If I'm taking it to the port to ship it over to Florida, or I'm bringing it up to the border here. There's a huge difference in prices.
Blame Yourself says, I opened the medicine cabinet and a bottle of omega-3 capsules fell on my head. Fortunately, my injuries were only superficial. Superficial.
Fish oil.
Superficial. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
What I should do is I should sell this to Kevin in Florida because his grandfather gave him the coronet, but he never had a coronet wagon.
Cyrano says, keep that joke going, but believe.
On a car like this that I know is an American car, I see that it has plates from Jalisco, but I'd have to look at the documents to see if I would be allowed to send it back to the U.S. and what documents they would accept.
Stripoli says, Daniel says they're going for a lot. Stripoli says, and a 5-speed.
Probably a 4-speed. I don't know.
Barracuda says, I didn't used to be allergic to anything, but in 1997 I got really sick from eating too many cherries. Speaking job. Since then, I'm allergic to nuts, apples, cherries, etc. I'm only mildly allergic to. Yeah, it does happen that you're not allergic to anything when you're young, and you develop allergies when you're adolescent. It does happen.
Barry, have you ever seen the movie The Witches of Eastwick? If not,
don't watch it.
Go watch it because every time Mrs. Spec buys cherries at the store and brings them home, I can only think of that scene in it.
Don't watch it. Steven says, ooh, I like the Coronet wagon.
It'll be much cheaper than the other one, Steve. Much cheaper.
Slimo says, hey, Buffalo, resin makes strong fumes. The dashboard will make you high.
Well, you should dry it before you put it in there.
Stable says 4-speed. I kid it again. Buffalo says, well, at least you don't have chicken and ducks. Only then finding out you're egg intolerant. Fair. Believe says, I was hospitalized due to a peekaboo accident. They put me in the ICU.
Okay.
Butterfly says, hey, let the garage have the fumes. Fernando says, I played in dirt, not allergic to anything.
Me too.
So did
I
I. I'm allergic to, well, not all kinds of shit, but like,
I found out I'm allergic to gluten, which I didn't know. Anyway, I have a story for you guys, which
but,
I should have told yesterday.
but my allergy.
I should have told this yesterday during the live, but I forgot about it.
Fine.
I have two carports in the backyard. Okay, I have my '63 Fury in one of them, and I have the '63 Plymouth Savoy in the other one. The Savoy is head in, and I backed the Fury in. When I parked her there, I put the front end up on jack stands, and because I put the stock wheels and tires and hubcaps back on her. So the rear end has been sitting on the ground all this time. She's been there, I don't know. We've been in the house. We've been in the house for 15 years now.
Yeah.
And she's been parked probably for 13 of those years. Okay. Now, when I backed her in straight. There's a line, the ground is cement. There's cement rectangles. I backed her in straight, and that's where she's been this whole time with the front end up on jack stands. Well, I went out there last week, and the car has moved an inch and a half to the left. And I realized that not only because she's now not straight with the line on the ground, but because between her now and the wall, I have to turn sideways and squeeze by when I'm cleaning up that area around her. When I'm sweeping up and everything, I have to turn sideways now to get by, which I didn't have to do before. So somehow the car moved an inch and a half to the left. I don't know how. I looked underneath, and nothing with the jack stands or anything looks like they were messed with. But if I look under the rear tires, I could see where there's dirty parts where the tire used to be. So I honestly do not know how this happened. And she's not telling. I asked her, she's not telling me. She's not telling me how it happened. I honestly don't understand how the car moved over by itself. It's really weird. No, we don't have earthquakes here, Mark. But also keep in mind that she's Christine's little sister. She's 5 years younger than Christine and has the same personality.
And it's been known to pull pranks.
Yes, she has. So I don't know how this happened. I really don't. I don't think so, Stray Bullet. My doctor said I'm fine. My weight is fine for my height. Nothing weird there. But I swept up and I always walked straight out to clean up the net area, that's in front of her where I have the 65 Buick parked. But I don't understand it. I don't understand how the car moved on the jack stands. And it's not in, I can't see, handprints or anything on the jack stands like somebody jacked up the car and moved it because there's never anybody in my backyard. I don't allow anybody in.
No.
So I don't understand how this happened. I really don't. But she's off to the side now because she was completely straight with the line in the cement, between the cement pieces. It was completely straight. In order for her to be where she is, I would have had to have backed her up to the wall, turned the steering wheel to the left, and angled her that way, and then put her up on jack stands. And that didn't happen. So I don't understand it at all.
Hold on. So it says that counts for a reparking, for a good reparking. Simon says I'm a 72 model. Are you on 1972? Mark says some small earthquakes.
I don't think so.
Mark says strong cheese has always made my face instantly sweat. Triple says you may be putting on a few extra pounds. Leandro says I feel the earth move under my feet.
Different song.
Slimo says haunted car.
Well, if she is, she's not talking.
Triple says that I think that it was an earthquake.
We don't really have earthquakes here, and we're always in the house. We didn't feel anything like that.
Both places our shop floor shifted a bit in the past 20 years. The lifts are no longer quite aligned to the garage doors anymore. That's my only theory for it.
It's the same thing is happening here. There's a huge root from the tree in the front, and it's pushing the front of the house up because our gate in the front doesn't fit anymore. The The tiles are coming up, but the car is way far away from that. So
It's on the opposite of the house.
yeah, opposite end of the property. So there's no way that could happen.
Mark says Mexican Spec probably goes out by herself at night to take care of business. That's what I said.
Hmm?
That's what I said. That she goes out at night.
She's blocked by other cars. There's no way.
You don't know that they can move for her.
And I know for sure that she has no transmission fluid in her because it's all on the ground.
Then Mark says you have a ghost. Chevrolet says I'll bet that the car hasn't moved, but the lines have.
No, if that was the case, then I wouldn't have to squeeze past her on the left side.
Butterfly says it's just so weird. Ask the concrete man, he might know. Mark says Mexican Spec, was it the front or rear that moved?
It was the front. Now she's angled to one side, and I backed her in straight. You know, I all the cars were out of the backyard. I backed her into the carport, which is, you know, towards the back of the property. I backed her in and parked her. Right, she was sitting on our tires for a while. Then I put her up on the front jack stands and replaced. I put her stock steel wheels with the small hubcaps and the white wall tires, front and back. The rear wheels were always on the ground, but the front ones were up on jack stands this whole time.
But the car front has a good point. Plumber in backyard with jackhammer made ground vibrate.
No, he wasn't jackhammering the ground. He was jackhammering the house. He made a hole in the side of the house.
Still.
But no, this was before. This was long before he even got here.
Mark says, did Christine need transmission fluid? Well, did she?
She probably did.
You don't know.
No, we don't know. That's the thing.
Simon says the oil has leaked out and it's slid sideways.
No, you don't slide on jack stands. It's solid. No, the oil leaked out long ago. I mean years ago.
The plumber in the backyard with the jackhammer. Colonel Mustard is innocent.
Who said that?
Butterfly. Miranda says, well, kids, look like we have another mystery in our hands. Like,
yes, we do, and she's not talking, so she's the only one that knows. The car is the only one that knows how it happened.
Mark says, heavy truck traffic.
We live in a cul-de-sac, Mark, so there's no traffic at all.
Mark says, you must have a slip on the jacks.
No, they're exactly where I put them, underneath the car, one on each side, on the subframe. And I looked on the ground to see if there was any scraping from the jack stands. Nothing.
I can't make that sound. Can you make
Rut-row.
Butterfly says, smoke enough joints as Scooby starts talking.
He's talking to you about that.
Why me?
Because I don't smoke.
I don't have
any. That's a nice dart. I like that.
Mark says UFOs then.
I don't know why they would move my car, but I can't figure it out. I honestly cannot figure it out because now I have to turn sideways to squeeze by the left side of the car when I clean over there, and I didn't have to do that before. So it's not just in my head that she looks like she's in a different position. There's a physical reason, you know, why she moved. Faith will be a cop after 2 years of schooling. You mean in the academy? It won't take 2 years. The academy is not 2 years. What are you doing?
Sorry, I was checking my messages. Mark says El Chupacabra. El Chupacabra only goes
Believe in
cabra.
yourself said something.
Believe says, my wife gave me an ultimatum. It's either her or my addiction to sweets. The decision was a piece of cake.
I would make the same decision.
Yeah, that's why I don't eat chocolate.
All the chocolate in the house belongs to me.
Yeah.
And that's the way it needs to be. I don't touch her vegetables, so we're even.
But you don't buy me fruit.
No.
And I buy you chocolate. Who just brought you chocolate from my
You did,
outing?
But I don't know how to choose fruit, so you're lucky.
You could still buy me fruit.
Firefly says, we all know Shaggy was the stoner. Constant case of the monster munchies. Yeah, he always had Scooby snacks.
Sandra says, this C-pillar extensions are kind of cool on the Mexican darts.
It makes the rear roof look like a Dodge Charger from the late '60s. So it does, the rear window does get more dirty because the wind is not in there, cleaning it. But you get a little from column A, a little from column B.
Samo says the car was borrowed for a bank job.
She hasn't started in a long time, so nobody else can drive her but me.
But like he means a proper cop, not ICE. Triple says it should be 2 years. Faith Bernard says criminal. I'm taking the class 4.
Oh, okay. In college for criminal justice.
Believe says no chocolate is safe for me.
Me either.
Daniel says
unless it's Mexican chocolate here. Some of it I don't like.
Daniel says the jack does not move. The car had to sleep on the jacks, or someone is messing with you.
There's nobody that has come into the backyard. That's the thing.
Nobody.
Here's another thing. Here's another thing. Mrs. Spec doesn't know how to use the jack. Number one.
Excuse you.
Number two, my jack isn't good enough to jack that car up because my jack is very old and it will not jack that far up. So I know my jack didn't do it. They would have had to brought their own jack.
Pablo says, "Oh, blue and white interior, nice." Mark says, "Roll down back seat in that Mustang." But he says, "I'm dating a girl who Ubers for Bulk Barn. She drives me nuts."
Is Bulk Barn something we should know? Is that like Costco? Barn.
I'm guessing.
That's like Costco.
Or maybe like Home Depot. Faith Bernard, yeah. Bafla says 292 emblem on the truck. Nice.
Yeah, and did you notice the radio that you're going to see in a second? Because it's not there. Put the pictures on there. The radio does not have that thing that the U.S. radios have, like the emergency broadcast system thing, the little triangle. The Mexican radios did not have that.
You do know that there's delay on the video, but also on the audio.
Yes.
So when you're talking about, look at this image, they haven't heard you yet.
It doesn't matter.
Saying, look at this image. So they'll see it when you say it. Anyway.
Put a block of wood on the pad.
Buffalo says noisy. Blasphemy.
No, not in a Mexican truck. Nope.
Believe says Bulk Barn is where they have barrels of snacks, candies, spices, flour, beans, etc. Really?
Kind of like Lay.
Yeah.
They used to have them. I don't think they have it anymore. I think COVID stopped most of that stuff here.
Believe is a nut, of course. Mark says Bulk Barn is a store where everything is sold by weight. Candies, flour, sugar, coffee, all sorts of other things.
Okay, so you can get it whatever you want.
Cool.
Most of the buffets, stopped or went out of business during COVID. We have a new buffet that just opened, and I saw the Facebook post.
Yeah, you got me in trouble because of it.
Why?
Because you made a comment on the post,
and
my friend is like, "Anna, why are you commenting on this?" I was like, "Not me, sorry."
It's your alter ego. They're open from 7:30 in the morning till 2 in the afternoon, but I couldn't find the menu anywhere. But I'm not paying 300 pesos for a buffet, especially when I don't know what they serve. I mean, it looks nice, and the things that they have at buffets, the warmers and stuff. It's the big metal ones that the top, flips up. It's not the cheap ones. It looks well done and everything, but I couldn't find a menu anywhere, which is the most important thing of a buffet.
I don't think a buffet will have a menu though.
Well, I don't know, do they change things every day?
Not necessarily, but it wouldn't have a menu.
It wouldn't be
a set menu.
It wouldn't be a set menu, but they'll tell you what they serve.
I think it's
There's
Mexican.
entrees, there's desserts, there's.
It will be. It's a Mexican. It's Mexican food.
We don't know that.
It is. It is. It said.
It doesn't say anything about what food they. I looked at everything. I looked at different sites. There was no mention of what
I'll
they
find it
serve.
for you. Breakfast says no pets for me. I'm too paranoid.
You'll have to get over that. Buffets are fine. If you get sick, you get sick.
Olive is here.
Hello, Olive.
Olive says, hey everyone. I guess I missed Tony entirely tonight, but I have something to finish up.
Yes,
Sorry.
yes, you did. And he started his live by saying, this and this and this is happening, so I'm only going to be on here for a short time, and he made it almost 2 hours. Of course, as usual. He did the same thing last week.
Firefly says, ooh, nice Maverick.
It is a nice Maverick. Yeah.
Triple says, everyone was scared during COVID. We can't let them scare us anymore.
No. I wasn't scared during COVID.
Mark says 300 pesos is close to 25 Canadian. It better be good.
Yeah, but like I said, I looked at different sites. They put advertising out to bring people in, and none of them mentioned what people were what they served there.
Remind me, and I'll show
but
you. But
since it's from 7:30 to 2 o'clock in the afternoon, it has to be breakfast, right? But a Mexican breakfast is not what you would think. It's not eggs and bacon and all that. No, it's all the same stuff that they eat the rest of the day too.
We eat a heavy breakfast. Esperanza says, nice Maverick. Slimo says, I still don't spend money at shops that give me hard time for not getting the jab.
How would a shop know if you got it or not?
What's the jab?
The injection.
The vaccine?
The vaccine. I didn't get any of the vaccines. I wouldn't let them put that stuff in me.
Olive says, I like that Maverick. Cop Car Steve is here.
Hello, Cop Car Steve. I just watched your short with the magic eraser. Did it do any good on the paint?
Cop Car Steve says, buenos mis amigos. Daniel Morris says, there is one buffet left in Sonoma County at River Rock Casino. It's fish. I think it's $55.
Yeah. You couldn't pay me to go in there.
Steven Andrews says, ooh, Shelby taillights. Catch me.
Not Shelby taillights, Mercury Cougar taillights. The Shelbys, I think, use the Thunderbird taillights, actually. The 65 Thunderbird taillights.
Olive says, Set Maverick is like, ooh, how would Olive do this interior? That way.
It's a nice color. I like the beige with the black exterior.
Paco Alfa dice, ¿qué tan cierto es que los carros ensamblados en México suelen tener mejor suspensión?
I don't think there's any difference.
Pero en español, cariño.
No creo que hay diferencia porque ¿estás hablando de carros nuevos o carros de antes? Porque los carros nuevos son hechos por todo el mundo y es igual por todos los lados.
Wildfly says buffets are something those with celiac should avoid.
Flour all over the kitchen, cross-contaminated.
I have to treat gluten like a deadly allergen for my kids' sake.
Oh, okay. I understand that. My case is not that serious. I don't get an immediate reaction, but I know what I can eat and what I can't.
Topcar says it's work in progress. I'm not sure the effect is going to be that great.
Well, there's the WD detailing uses the magic erasers on the door panels and the dashboard and stuff, and then Detail Dane, who has also worked with them, he uses all their products. He doesn't use any of that on the interior. And I left a comment on his video asking, the other guys do, what is the difference? Does it come out better when they do it or does it, when you do it? And he didn't answer me. So I don't know what they actually do, because if they do something, I'll get some to clean the cars here.
Mark says, I was a bit miffed last night with Bugs Live. It was way past the time to launch, but I still have the thumbnail. People in the chats, I asked if anyone had the same problem and nobody answered me. What?
You mean it didn't come on in time?
Last
night. Saturday. Okay, yeah, Saturday.
Surrender says they were the same as Cougar, less the chrome bars.
No, they are the same lights, the same lenses. They got them from the Cougar. You can see the reflectors in there. I don't think they use the Cougar lights on the Shelbys. If you look at the rear Shelby, they're more flat and they're from the 65 Thunderbird.
Mark says, I refreshed the live and it was fine.
Well, then something's happening with it.
Triple says, it was probably a brunch. It is probably a brunch buffet. I wonder if they're going to have mimosas.
But they start at 7:30 in the morning. That's not brunch.
I wonder if they're going to have mimosas.
I don't know.
Mimosas.
That is well into breakfast. But I don't want to go in there and okay, it's 300 pesos, and then you have to pay for all the drinks and everything.
Like on Monday, it's
like
cheaper
the other
on Monday.
one.
It's cheaper than during the week.
I didn't see any difference in price.
Yeah.
The 295 is during the week. It's 300 and something during the weekends. But I'd like to know what kind of food they serve before walking in there.
Olive says, I don't know. Our people are getting weird YouTube hangouts lately. Steven says, I didn't get it either, Mexican Spec. Good for you. The epic scene. Stray Bullet says, I love buffets. There are so many delicious choices. I love buffets. Buffet says, I'm just being overly cautious so my kids' intestines survive damage into their adulthood.
Yeah, I understand. Some people have a really severe reaction to any kind of gluten.
Olive says, at buffets, I'm just likely to be spending for more than I could possibly eat. Yeah, there's people like that. Mm-hmm. That don't. I forgot the word in English. No aprovechan los buffets.
Yeah, they don't take advantage of it.
Yeah.
Steven, the reason I didn't get the vaccines is because they're actually injecting you with the virus, and I never got COVID at all. But I did not have a lot of money because my businesses were taken away from me. I wasn't able to make any money. eBay canceled my accounts, refunded all the customers, even though they got all their merchandise. And if they injected me and I got sick, I didn't have any money to pay a doctor to do anything about it. So I was not going to voluntarily take that into my body.
And I wasn't working at the time, so we couldn't really do anything.
Yeah.
Olive says, okay, Green Duster has my attention.
It is a nice car, but the interior needs a complete detail. Complete. But the car is in Veracruz where the port is. It's not, oh, it isn't. It is where the port is. It's in Veracruz. Yeah. So it's just buy the car, deliver it right to the customs agent, and the car gets shipped over to Florida.
Mark says, my wife is highly allergic to cannabis. Even if someone smokes a joint 15 minutes earlier, then goes near my wife. Within a minute, she can't breathe.
Oh, that's bad. Tell her to stay out of Colorado.
Mark says, like, 1,000,000% agree with that. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna go with 1,000,000% because I can't read that many numbers. Fernando says, I didn't trust it either. Lee says, I don't blame you.
It was not a political thing for me. I just was not going to voluntarily take the virus into my body when I didn't get it. Mrs. Spec and her sister were in the house. They were both sick. They both had it.
I did. Yes and no. I did got COVID
the first time
because I was.
And your sister was here too.
No, I got COVID the first time, like right as it started, because we had a friend that was in the hospital. And this friend they were missing a leg, and they needed someone to be there with them because in the hospitals here they don't really take care of you. Like they don't, like they treat you.
You're on your own.
Yeah, you're on at the hospitals. So he needed someone to be there with him 24/7. So I was doing the rounds with Mr. Spec and somebody else. We were doing the rounds, taking care of him, and of course I got sick with COVID.
He also contracted COVID in that same hospital.
Yeah.
They tested him when he went in. He was negative, and then he contracted the disease while he was in the hospital.
Even though they were completely separate units, they were doing all of the.
It's in the air.
Yeah, but anyway, so I got COVID, and I was really bad. I didn't got hospitalized bad, but I was really bad. And
if you went into a hospital here, you had COVID, you're basically dead.
Yeah.
They don't do anything for you. They lock you away in a wing, and nobody comes to see you. There was no respirators or anything. They just let everybody die.
No, they didn't have enough respirators.
No.
And when the vaccines came over, it was somewhat mandatory. Did he pass on? He did, but not from that.
No, it was a while later.
Yeah, it was a year and a half later for different reasons. The vaccine was somewhat mandatory due to my job, but I was working at the time, and vaccines were rolling out, and they were saying you had to get vaccinated and stuff like that. So my job was like, hey, you're gonna get the day off to get vaccinated, and I was like, oh, okay. And since I did get sick, I felt like it was somewhat safe for me to get the vaccine since I didn't want to get sick again. But the vaccine had really bad side effects for me. I was knocked down for the entire day, feeling horrible. And the next couple of days, I was feeling bad as well, but not as bad, not entirely bad to not work.
Go back to your list
Olive,
because it's way
sorry,
up.
Olive is a bit sick. Sorry, Olive is leaving.
Conquer Steve is leaving.
Sorry.
Okay, him too. Good night, Olive. Good night, Steve.
But says I made a mistake of going to an old country buffet one time, and after seeing 3,000 pounds people in beef overalls eating, I lost my appetite.
No, yeah.
Not exaggerating the weight, bare skin in beef overalls stick. So it says I got in right before they changed from the lunch price to the dinner price at the hometown buffet. Hold on. It's my own early bird special. Mark says bags free here. Olive says, did we see the motors in that?
It's a slant six.
Mark says, lost two of my half brothers that took the bags and a few friends. Oh, I'm sorry. Olive says, here we are to borrow manifold, I presume. Olive says, the COVID shot is
In a 76, yes.
the COVID shot is the only one I prefer. The goddamn flu vaccine is egg-based and messes me up. It's egg-based. I don't get the flu vaccine. It makes me sick. Mark says, makes me sick. The test also contains the COVID virus. Oh.
Well, I was tested once.
Fernando says, all my family tested positive, but not sure I trusted the test either. I got the sniffles. Olive says, that was the plan. Olive says, night all, too tired to science. Sorry, the hospital sucks. Copper says, good night all my friends. 4:20 comes early in the morning. Peace out, brother.
Yeah.
Your phone.
Mm-hmm.
Believe says, oh, give me.
Yes. Just gonna turn it off. Alarms all over the place. Go on, keep going, go on.
Fine. Believe says, I had COVID once. I was doing breath work that helped me fully recover quickly. Paco Alfaces me lo dijo un vendedor que los carros para el mercado mexicano suelen venir con mejor suspensión. Como vivo en la frontera, tenemos la opción de regularizar.
No he escuchado eso.
Tribble says, I don't let them inject me with their cocktail. Steven Andrew says, I know a lot who had very adverse reactions, so I said, I'm good. My job didn't make me get the shot.
I work for myself, so I didn't make myself do it.
Josh Coleman says, sharp car. Danny Moore says, this car looks like it has a nice paint job.
Mm-hmm.
Question mark. Margola says, I think the 67 to 68 Shelbys would have looked better with the ordinary Mustang taillights, but I suppose they felt like they should have something different.
Yep.
Danny Moore says, am I right? Is it 10:02 p.m. there?
No, 9:03.
Barcola says, I was self-employed. I couldn't be forced to.
Yeah, Mrs. Spec and I went to a supermarket one time. She was much younger, and there were a couple of women out in front of there. I guess they worked for the government or something. They were injecting women with something. It was for women. So I asked, what are you injecting them with? We don't know. What's in it? We don't know. Do you have any documentation, anything saying what's in it? No.
I don't remember that.
Huh?
I don't remember
Yeah, it was the bodega over there. They were injecting women. And I asked them, what is in this? What is in it? What are you going to inject into her? Well, I don't know.
I don't remember.
Yeah. So no, you're not getting it. No. If they don't know what they're injecting, that's crazy.
Papa says, during COVID, I brought I bought an ozone generator for work. The car smelled much better afterwards, uh, too. Learned to kill a few smells that year.
Yeah, they say the ozone generator kills anything organic or biological, everything. So
Police
make sure you keep it away from you.
Police says, wow, that was a great idea. Mark says, 3 hour difference now from here.
Hmm.
Will the trail is here?
Hello, Will.
Will says, good evening. I just shaved off my goatee.
We didn't know you had one. We can't see your face.
Barclay says, it worked well for 2 reasons. Customer was happy, plus car smelled better.
Yep. And anything that was in it that was living in it died, which is mold or little animals, bugs, anything.
Will says, God, I love that red for Fairmont.
It sure does look good, doesn't it? Even with the wire wheels. The wire wheels work. It would need a matching set of tires, though. You can't have white walls in the back and black walls in the front. You just can't do that. And of course, it's got the special stick in there, 3-speed manual.
Mark says, when the government is concerned with your health, be afraid and run.
They weren't afraid with our health. They were afraid with about everybody else's health. They didn't care about you.
Biofly says, ozone must be treated like chlorine gas. It is not harmless.
No, it is not.
Will says, I'm going to upload a video of me shaving it off. Barracuda says, a politician here was tempting people with a free hamburger to get jabbed.
How stupid. You don't have to entice somebody if it's good for them. I mean, if it's something that, I don't know how to say it, but if it's something that's good, you don't have to entice people. But there were questions about it that they didn't do enough testing on the vaccine. We didn't know what it was. They didn't know what it was, and it's not harmless. I couldn't take a chance because I had no way to get any medical help if something did happen to me, and I'm pretty sure it would have happened to me. So I don't know. Like my son has said to me many times, he's in medical school. He says, "Why are you still alive?" Because I have an immune system. I cut my hand outside. I just brush it off. Don't do anything about it. Continue doing what I'm doing. It's the way I've always been.
Butterfly says, mold is pretty resistant to the ozone. Unfortunately, gotta kill the source before it will work. Otherwise, it comes back. Marcus Barracuda, you're in Canada then, long. Double says, that's more scary than COVID to me.
Yeah.
Will the Drill says, I'm literally stuck right now. I can't make up my mind whether I want to sell or keep my Mustang. I found the 1977 AMC Hornet AMX that I fell in love with. I want it so bad.
Does it have the 304 V8 in it? And what transmission does it have?
Hmm.
I'm talking about the Hornet, not the Mustang.
Wonder if I should go make
But
myself a list.
when the supermarket said you have to put on a mask to go into the store, I had no problem with that. No big deal. Every time we went in, they had a thermometer outside or the thing to take your temperature. Never had a problem with that. So
Yes, it does have the 304 V8. It has the automatic.
automatic in an AMX? That's the two-door hatchback, right?
Yes. Steven says West Russian to production. The drug companies were exempted from lawsuits. Yeah, no.
Exactly. They didn't know what they were putting out or how it was going to affect people.
Mark says that 78 Malibu rally would start so many arguments here, lol.
You're absolutely right, and you have to add an E to the end of rally. They, for some reason, they put the E on the end of rally on the name of this car.
Burgula says hamburger with a job there too, Mark. Willow Drill says yes, it is. The guy is asking 8,700 for it.
It must be in really nice condition then. They sold that body style here, but it had a different grill in it, big orange turn signals in it, single headlights. They called it the Rally, Rallye, and then the Rally became the Spirit style, which is what took over for the Gremlin. Biofly likes his hamburgers better.
Probably because everyone always orders hamburgers.
Well, there's a reason they do that.
For instance, I almost added the E, but I couldn't remember.
Yeah, it says right on the front of the car, Malibu Rally.
Oh, hold on, my eyes are... I was working on the video. Paco Alfaces, lo acabo de investigar. Y sí, las pensiones se ajustan dependiendo del lugar para las condiciones de las calles de la ciudad, topes, baches, etcétera. Y pues así si las de México vienen más robustas.
Debe ser los carros más viejos, porque los más nuevos no cambian nada. He's saying that the suspension for the cars made in Mexico were adjusted depending on where they were sold with how many speed bumps and how many potholes they had. So I don't know that's true, but he just looked it up.
Porque says I do find hamburgers very tempting. Danny Boyd is here.
Hello, Danny Boyd.
And they says, oh no, that's cereal.
What's wrong with it?
Mark says Barracuda. Yep. And Danny Boyd says Buick Apollo Grill.
Buick Skylark Grill.
Will the Trill says that's why I always wonder how much difference the Rally would have been if BAM had access to the AMC V8s. I think those cars would have been very fast with the 360s or 4.1 V8s.
I'm sure they would. They put the V8s in them in the U.S. There's if you could ever find one, they did exist. Not the 401, but they did exist.
Steven Andrews will gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today. Barracuda says Trudeau/Ardern birds of a feather. Pablo says I haven't seen a Wimpy's hamburger in a long time.
Were there Wimpy hamburger places? Somebody paid to use that name.
Mark says Barracuda, and in the province of Quebec, you could be entered in a lottery to win $1 million if you supplied proof of vaccine.
They were really going after it, weren't they?
Biofly says the fast food chain had a short run. Oh, my salad.
We're not done here. We're about a third of the way done.
I'm gonna want my salad.
No, you're not.
Can I answer?
You're not eating anything until we're done.
No,
Steven, they didn't sell Oldsmobiles in Mexico. They sold the Sierra, the Cutlass Sierra, as a Chevrolet Cutlass in Mexico. That's the only model that they sold here that was basically an Oldsmobile. But it was not sold under the Oldsmobile name.
But Believe says I remember Wimpy's burgers. And Buffalo says, see, I'm not crazy.
Nobody said you were crazy. Lying, maybe, but not crazy.
Daniel says 79 Ford Bronco. Awesome. How much is this one? Okay, sorry.
It's quite a bit.
I have to read it from here.
It's quite a bit, but I'd have to go back and check. But there is one that's not far from us. That's black. It's lifted. It has 4 shocks on each wheel. It's got all the lights on it and everything, and it's a manual. It's got a 351 with a manual in it. It's a really nice truck, but I just don't know how I would transport it because the wheels are so big on it. It's not going to fit on my trailer, and it's not going to fit on a transport truck. So I don't know how I would move it. I wouldn't want to drive it.
Francis, there was a Wimpy's, or however it was spelled, on Dayton, Ohio. Stray Bullet wants a hot dog. Oh,
don't do that, Stray Bullet. How dare you? Now she wants a hot dog.
Steven says, ooh, TGE rarest Bronco body style. Only 2 years produced, at least in the U.S.
Yep, only 2 years produced, and all of them that are here are from the U.S. This is a U.S. truck. They didn't sell them here. What are you doing?
Turning around.
Why?
Because I want to put my feet up.
Pay attention to what we're
I'm
doing.
paying attention. Firefly says, I'm just waiting for some lunatic to open up a lunch lady land restaurant. Lunch lady land.
Who would go there, Vilefly? Because they don't. Lunch ladies do not serve the best food. Everybody knows that.
Mark Suarez says, so two of my half brothers passed away weeks after the jab, and my younger brother developed an eye issue shortly after the jab. Lost at least three friends for the same reason.
That's terrible. Was it a bad batch of the vaccine or something?
Danny says it's a rock crawler.
I don't know if I would say that. Somebody just modified the truck, and then I don't think they ever took it off road. The black one, anyway. But it is a very nice truck. I mean, it's for what he wants for it. Whoever buys it could cross it and probably double their money on it. That's how nice it is, and how much they're worth over there in the U.S. But like you said, they only made it for 2 years, or like Steve said, they only made it for 2 years.
Firefly says Sloppy Joe would go there.
And he'd eat himself because that's what the lunch lady would serve.
Bodyguard says Rust Free Bronco rare in Saltville.
That's true, and we've got them all here in really good condition.
Firefly says and a few met heads.
That truck was probably 270,000 pesos or so, plus the travel and the transport and everything, somewhere around there. So you're under 20,000 for the price of the truck, and then the all the add-ons. Because I'd have to go get it, I'd have to transport it, and of course I don't work for free. Somebody's got to pay the bills around here.
Hey, excuse you, I pay the bills.
And then you want corn,
No,
and then
I
you
pay
want
the
a hot
bills.
dog,
No,
and
I
then you
pay the
want
bills.
all kinds of. You want to go out with your friends? That costs a lot
No,
of money.
I pay the bills. Margarita says, anyone seen the 67 movie Bedazzled? Dudley Moore's character worked at a Wimpy's in London.
Oh, I don't remember seeing that. Just the newer one.
Now corn.
No, we're not going out. There's food right in the kitchen.
Pablo says, I will have to check that out.
If you look at Bring a Trailer and see what those 78, 79 Broncos bring, they bring a lot of money. The problem with this Blazer, Daniel, is that it's a 1978 model. So they took off the round eye front end and they put on this fender hood and grill and everything, and made it look like the 89 to 91 model, which I don't think people would prefer. They would prefer to have it the original front end on it, which we could probably find the original front end parts and put them on and rewire it and everything. That would take some work, but we could probably make it a 78 again. We could probably buy the parts. They sell everything for these square body trucks. But the only parts that are available here are these dual headlight parts here. That's the only thing they sold that they're selling here.
Firefly says, ooh, that. Paramore says, here in the US, clean Blazers are going for 120,000.
That's probably if they have the newer engines and LS under the hood or something that had a lot of work done to it. If somebody took this Blazer and put an LS in it and then we tried to cross it, it would be rejected. It would not be allowed to be crossed into the US. No engine exchanges can be crossed.
It's heavy.
Yeah, it's heavy. I mean, they did in this one. They did the interior. They've done everything in the truck, but I would prefer round headlights if it started off round headlights in '78.
Why you put it further away?
Because I don't want to kick it.
Mm-hmm. Danny says it looks nice. I like stock. Alpha says screw the new Blazers.
There's new Blazers?
Yeah.
Is there? Yeah. I didn't even know. There's new Broncos. I don't know about new Blazers. They've tried to put the name on a few different vehicles that are just nothing special. Of course, the new Broncos nothing special either.
Serrano says Blazers in name only.
Yeah. Well, the S10 Blazer was a Blazer too. So, a baby Blazer.
Alpha says Jupe. They look like Nissan Rogues.
Yeah, just a regular SUV, nothing special. Whoever did this Blazer did a nice job. Nobody would ever know it was a 78 model, but I think that under the hood would be a problem
Firefly is egg shaped.
because it does not have, that has the newer belts and everything on it. So yeah, I have to make sure that it has the original. If it had a 350 from when it came in Mexico, it has to have a 350 when it goes back out. Not that there's going to be an original invoice for an American vehicle, but I don't know. I guess the VIN would tell them what kind of motor it had when it came in. I mean, when it was built, the 17-digit VINs,
TBI motor.
maybe.
Emerson says, I don't like the new cars. I'll take the older ones.
They run better.
Surrender says, like a Mustang electric SUV travesty.
A Mustang Mach E.
But I want the
Mach
the
E.
Honda. What was the Honda that we were talking about?
HRV.
The HRV.
You wanted an old
We
Cougar, is what
do
you wanted.
need.
You wanted an old Cougar,
I
is
mean,
what you wanted.
also, we do need a daily driver. Paco Alfa dice, sí, bueno, mi investigación solo fue preguntar a Gemini AI. La respuesta fue esa. La suspensión se adapta al país.
Well, es posible, pero no sé. Firefly said the Mustang's SUV now. Not the Mustang. They have an SUV, an electric SUV that has the Mustang name, and you're probably not going to like the SUV Corvette that's coming out either.
Muy bonito.
Because they are bringing one out, the SUV Corvette. Probably can't hear the cracking in my neck.
Huh?
Probably can't hear the cracking in my neck.
No. Surrender says, blasphemy.
Well, I think what they want is an SUV to compete with the Rolls Royce SUV, the the Lamborghini SUV. They're going to market it like that. They're going to put it in that category, like $300,000.
Biofloss says, SUV Corvette? What?
Google it. They're doing it.
Pergola says, a friend had a 1984 GMC Jimny. Jimny or Jimmy?
Jimmy.
New Zealand. A nice one. I think he paid 9,000 for it. And later sold it for 12,000. That was late 90s. Seems very cheap now.
Yep. Of course, I would never pay that for any of them now. Jimmy was a slang term for all GMCs. So GMC went with it, and when the Jimmy was the GMC version of the K5 Blazer, they put the name Jimmy on the side, and they changed the grill and stuff. Basically the same vehicle. This red Wagoneer is available again if anybody wants a Wagoneer. It's a 79 model. It has the Alpina package, which was Mexico only. It's a 4-speed manual. It's got the inline six. It's a very nice truck. It was available a couple of years ago, and I had customers on it. Then the guy decided I'm not selling it anymore.
I have a random question.
What?
Do you think we'll do better doing a vertical live while on the road?
No. Well, maybe, but I don't want to subject them to that because they can't see anything that's happening from side to side. They'll only see what's right in front of the truck. I don't like that.
We should try.
Biofly says, yuck, aiming for the next higher tax brackets. Those people have no taste or style. Well, Chevrolet wants to get in on it. They have the Corvette now with that gives you all the performance a Lamborghini does for a much lower price. They want to do the same thing with the SUV and get people that are going to buy those over to General Motors.
Chevrolet says the Hellcat Jeeps are probably their main target.
Maybe, but it's not I wouldn't call it a performance vehicle or anything, although it's probably going to have the big powerful engine in it. You know, I don't know. Those mosquitoes are taunting me.
Mm-hmm. Time says the Corvette SUV are ugly. Papa says I equally hate all car manufacturers now.
The way they make your job a lot harder.
Pero no te lleves el coche.
Why not?
Dámelo,
Why?
dámelo.
Why?
Porque es mío. Bergola says it came with a 305. He put a 400 in it into it.
Little bit more power.
Granddad's junk. Did I say happy birthday?
Hey, Granddad's junk. Welcome.
Say good day, Mixie brother. Mixie brotherhood. How's it going? And Mrs. Mixie brother sisterhood. Yeah, I noticed you weren't here before. Thunderbird is here also.
Hello, Thunderbird.
Hey Thunderbird. Hey Granddad's junk. They say hello everyone. I'm late. Just finished fixing all the world's problems. Oh,
Okay, so tomorrow will be bright and sunny and shiny and no problems. Thank you for that.
Firefly says yep. Can bus zombie engineers. They gotta go.
Well, we'll see what happens in the near future. Supposedly they're making diesel trucks now with no DEF, and they're kind of like going backwards. So we'll see.
Brandon Young says very good brother. How's Central going? Brandon says their model lines are so small, and why? Bad decisions, more of the same, I guess.
Where did they get it in their heads that nobody wants to buy cars? Cars are out. Everybody wants an SUV. No, cars are what every manufacturer in Mexico sells a compact car with a 4-cylinder and a stick shift. And those cars last forever. You take care of them, you do your maintenance, they last forever. Why wouldn't they sell those in the US?
Barracuda says good weather. Butterfly says looks outside a blizzard.
But it won't take effect until the morning. So
Mark says no DEF will help the truck industry.
yes, it will. And TK's Garage keeps putting up videos about like Ram that is putting out a 1-ton dually diesel with no DEF on it. And if they're putting money into making a truck like that, then everybody else can make the same thing. They know because they're looking really closely at the laws, and they're not going to make something that's going to be illegal. So it's not illegal anymore.
Brenda Chung says, are you going to Timaru this weekend for car show?
I'm assuming he's talking to Barracuda.
Yeah.
Because I don't think we could go to a car show there.
I don't know where Timaru is. I was thinking tiramisu. Barracuda says, with the price of petrol? No. Pablo says, they are now putting EGR coolers on gas cars now. So stupid. Tienes orejita sucia. Josama says, because Americans don't buy small basic cars.
If they were available for an inexpensive price, they would sell a lot of them. There are no inexpensive cars. There's the cheapest car you could get is probably $21,000, somewhere around there. And it's not a car that is gonna last a long time. It has all the computers in it and everything else. Firefly buys small basic cars.
Ay. Do you have an what is it called? The Honda?
HRV.
Do you have an HRV Firefly? Trevor says Ford is releasing a new 8.0 I engine liter engine with a DEF.
No DEF.
With no DEF. Chang says we are heading down for it. Mark says, I'm talking about the heavy truck industry. Working for International and Freightliner, almost everything you sold was emission related.
Right, that's all gone in the U.S. now. None of that exists anymore.
Pergola says, you can film it for us.
Well, he can probably record it. I doubt he's going to bring any film with him.
Ay, ¿cómo eres?
Yes, people keep calling it filming. There's no film
Jesus
involved.
has film.
There's no film involved.
Jesus has film.
So what?
He can film. Yes. Daniel says, if I'm going to spend high dollar money on a car, it's going to be 1932 Ford or Chevy Restorod Fender hardtop with a North Star engine system with Mustang 2 running gear.
No, North Star engine, no.
Okay.
Because they're not good unless you fix everything you need to fix on them.
Brandon says, okay, brother, no worries. I should get lots of videos.
North Star engine would not be the way to go, especially in a Chevy or a Ford.
Mark says, if I can't film, can I tape?
Only you can answer that. Are you taking anything out that has tape in it? I record everything.
Bowser says, one day a strange man with a square mustache will build a shitbox people's car and be heralded an economic hero. Then his second plan will be put into effect. And that's Junk says, good as Mark. Sonora says, that's a funky car. Can't see the words behind the stuff.
That is an 81, Josh. It's an 81 model. Stop. You're gonna get zapped.
No.
Yes. You're gonna get zapped live.
No. Mexican Spec. Sorry, Mark Survey says Mexican Spec. I think I still have something I can tape with.
A tape recorder.
But Carfana says had Eldorado with North Star motor was junk.
My father bought a new Cadillac STS with the North Star, and he never had a problem with it. It was a 95 model. Never had a problem with it. You know, drove it fast everywhere he went, but he didn't keep it long term either. Oh,
Grandes Jackson Barracuda. Anything in particular you want to see? Butterfly says, does that car comes with a brown and yellow plate shirt?
plaid shirt.
Plaid shirt.
No, you have to get your clothing by yourself.
Fernando says, ooh, I do like the TNC just a bit. Money? Just a bit of money?
That's the one I sent you the price on, Steve. That's the one.
Butterfly says, huh? And Thunderbird says, you got a cattle prod there?
No, I have a zapper for the mosquitoes, but it can work on her too.
No. Triple says, it has some family truckster vibes going on.
This was way before the family truckster. Way before. And it was a different company anyway. Where did the mosquito go? The mosquito sees I have a zapper in my hand and they disappear.
They like to hang out on the wire that's going with the computer.
For the warm?
No, I don't know.
I don't
black.
see it.
Mosquito tennis. Yep, kind of.
Exactly. And it's green. Color of money. Well, our 200 peso bill is green anyway.
Mark says, I definitely have an audio tape recorder. Just have to look if I have a video tape recorder. For says, scantily clad young girls. No.
That's what he wants Granddad's junk to
No.
record.
Surrender says, yeah, a bit more than I can swing now.
Mm-hmm. It's just coming from so far away. That's the problem.
Thunderbird says, mosquito is our national bird. Granddad says, consider it done.
But we have a lot of mosquitoes here still. They never gave up. They didn't hibernate at all this year. Every day I kill mosquitoes even through the winter time. What you guys would call winter.
Well, what we call winter.
Mm-hmm. I was just I went to get this because there was one flying around in front of the television here, and now it disappears.
Daniel says, we have had them before, never had a problem. We have Etherbrook engine in a 38 Chevy engine and a Chevy engine in a 44 Deluxe Resto Rod.
Right. Then you piss off a lot of people at the car shows if you mix and match like that.
Marcel says, bait the mosquito racket and leave it near you. Then, when a skeeter lands on it, hit the button.
I don't think they'll fall for it. I think they're smarter than that.
How do you bait a mosquito? Thunderbird says, the further north you go, the more bugs you get. Just not poisonous ones. Thank you.
Well, we are worried about mosquitoes because both Mrs. Spec and I had dengue one time, which could be fatal, but we didn't get a serious case of it, and that comes directly from the mosquitoes. So we do not want to get it again. When we were in the doctor's office, the doctor's telling us about more serious cases he have that people are bleeding out from every orifice in their body and they're dying. I'm like, well, thank you for telling me. I appreciate that. Really needed to know that.
Mark says, Thunderbird, amen to that. Butterfly says, okay, time for bed. Working tomorrow in the snow and ice. Have to dust off the winter clothing again.
Good night, Violfly.
Good
Thanks
night.
for stopping by.
Barracuda says, and the Valiants, all sort, no need for her quarter holdings. HQ holdings?
Yeah,
By
they have all
goodness.
kinds of letters there on their cars.
Butterfly says, good night all.
Numbers don't exist to them.
Paco Alfa says, la vista de madera de la Jeep Wagoneer son madera real.
No, es uno calcamonía pegado, como todos los carros de los 60s para arriba.
Red says, a mosquito can kill you.
Yes, that's why I'm killing them first.
Thunderbird says, does dengue leave your system? Apparently, malaria never completely goes away. It will pop up randomly in your body after infection.
I
Uh,
I don't think it dengue sticks around.
no.
Gotcha. I gotcha. If you have any friends, tell them to stay away. I
Mark
guess you
says,
can't tell them anything because you're dead.
okay. Mark says, being out of the city here, the mosquitoes and deer flies are out of this world. I get PTSD from them, lol.
Get one of these, Mark. It works wonders.
Brenda Shank says, if you're lucky enough, the supercharged 392 Hemi BF Valiant might be there. Daniel Morrissey says, Ford tough with Chevy stuff.
You know what? You know the purists out there. They get kind of weird. Kind of weird. Who doesn't like a citation? Hmm? And it's a Mexican citation on top of that, which means the 2.8 4-speed is not smogged out. There was a lot of torque steer in these though, and this one does have the vertical radio, so it's an earlier model.
Steven Andrews says, why don't they have things that suck them up like a vacuum cleaner? There was a thing that we used to have that it was like a little fan with a light inside of it that attracted the bugs and the fan sucked them up like that. Um, but it stopped working and we haven't been able to find something of the
Yeah, and
sort.
we have a lot of different rooms that we have to, get rid of the mosquitoes in. Not even sure where they're coming in from
Yeah.
at this point.
Another says, I don't endorse crossbreeding. Particular says, yes, I remember that car at a Cromwell show. Orange or red, isn't it? Mark says, those citations were absolute junk here. They rotted away so fast.
Yeah, but they didn't in Mexico. That's why this one is still here. 4-speed with a 2.8 liter V6. You can turbocharge it and be as fast as a slant six.
Grande Check says red and black with black upholstery. It's an Inver Cargill Autofab. Owner has it. Triple says I actually kind of like those X11 when they first came out. Those were dark days.
There wasn't much excitement around, but that started things again.
Sonora says Dean went to bed. He never came over.
We didn't see him.
No, Dean hasn't
No.
been on this live.
Well, now that you said his name, he may pop in.
Say it 3 times, see what happens.
Mm-hmm. You may not want to test that though, because you never really know.
Sorry, baby.
See this guy that got mad. He's like, "Well, you didn't build it. You don't show me your slip when you were drag racing." Well, I know a lot about slant sixes. I have them out in the backyard. I've had others, and I was on the lot when the 2.8s were new. I know what they can do. So it's not like I have no experience in what he built or how fast it should be or anything else. So he's very childish in the way he thinks, and I don't deal with people like that.
Sonora says those checker wheels are interesting.
Checkerboard wheels, yes. Mark, if Beetlejuice shows up in your house, will you tell us?
Triple says probably not, Mark.
I don't think Michael Keaton is putting on personal appearances right now in Canada in the snow. So I don't think he's going to show up.
Fernando says we had two citations and two-door. Someone turned left through traffic into me in 93 and totaled it. Then an 84 four-door.
83.
83 four-door, sorry. Particular says there's an AP6 with a supercharged engine too from Iver Cargill too, I think. Mark says, lol, if I survive.
Why wouldn't you survive? He's not out for killing people, just playing with them.
Isn't that the Bloody Mary?
Yeah, I don't know what. Nobody ever tells us what Bloody Mary actually does when she appears. And apparently, she has blood on her. That's why she's called Bloody Mary. So, or maybe it's that time of the month. I don't know.
Yeah, sure.
That was our dog. He's still barking at things, so it should be fine. What would you guys make this truck into? This Chevy square body panel truck. Looks pretty clean inside. You usually don't see a shiny roof. Barely hold on.
No, it's fine.
Okay.
Thunderbird says, how's fuel prices, guys? Getting pretty expensive here in Alberta. Mark says, all I know of Bloody Mary, it's a drink. Probably will make it a delivery van. Stuart Andrews says, feeling any better, Granddad?
A lot of product could be put in there. This might have been a dog catcher's truck or some kind of delivery truck. It's got a kind of a weird look because they took the short bed truck and just enclosed the rear end on it, but made it taller. They didn't extend it or anything.
Thunderbird will make it into an ambulance.
I'm not sure if a stretcher would fit back there because it's short.
Josh Hammond thinks it will make it a good war truck. Particular says only about $13 a gallon. Mark answers the Thunderbird. I paid
1.549 a liter yesterday.
Thank you.
Canadian dollars, so that's like 25 cents.
And where's this Marks?
There's your four-door citation. This is the later model, so it has a vertical radio. Because people were complaining that they can't get stereos for the vertical radio, for the vertical citations. So in 85, they moved it to this. I think this one has it. We have to wait and see.
Straight will it will deliver flowers. That's a good one.
Yeah.
The number says
You could
Mark.
put an air conditioner in the back there.
The number says Mark. That's what it costs you. Brenda says, Steve brother, I'm good. Thanks for asking. How are you doing? Mark says Thunderbird. That's what it costs in Ottawa.
That was Costco in Ottawa.
Ah, Costco.
Yeah, it has the vertical radio there.
Daniel says, I'll make it into an overloader for out in the bush and mountains.
It's not 4-wheel drive though, Daniel. It's 2-wheel drive. And it has an inline 6-cylinder engine, which is fine because you have the granny gear. So you just put it in first gear and it'll pull it out of anything. It'll pull a tree down. I kind of like the V8 in them though. They sound much better. Square bodies.
Joshua says, Mac wheels so people think the car is fast.
$4.49 a gallon in Washington State. Wow, really getting up there.
Polycarp says Chevy should have made 4-door X11.
That's what you got right here, buddy. You got the engine and transmission out of a X11 and a 4-door body. Mexico only had one engine to put in these, the high output 2.8 and the 4-speed manual transmission. So there's your 4-door X11 right there. You can put the X11 hood on it and the tailgate, and you got your 4-door X11.
The number asks, have things calmed down in Mexico?
Yeah, they calmed down like 3 days after it happened. Everything is fine, as far as I know. I've heard nothing about anything. Like I said before,
Except for Culiacan.
Culiacan's a different issue. Like I said before, it was a tantrum that the cartel was throwing, and they did what they did. But whoever took over control of the cartel had to tell everybody, "Hey, we're not making any money doing this, so calm down. We need to get back to work here," and that's what they did. So everything's back to the way it was. Everything was back to the way it was in Guadalajara and Puerto Vallarta the next day. But it took a little bit more to calm down what was going on the highways and in other states.
The number says courtesy of the USA. Chevrolet says 5:30 here. Mark says, can put a 4x4 in it.
Yes, you can. There's junkyard parts you can put right in that truck.
700 says about 3:30 in Texas.
That's pretty low. Tony noticed that from one day to the next, it went up like 30 cents, and then next day it went up some more. It's even worse in California. I've seen signs. Now, granted, it may have been AI, but there was a Chevron station that had over $8 for regular gas per gallon out in Los Angeles. Not even out in the middle of nowhere, just in Los Angeles. You got to expect it's going to be even more out in the desert or up in the mountains and stuff where it's hard to get the gasoline there. So that's people in Southern California are paying huge amounts of money for gasoline, and it's all because of the administration in the state, all because of the politicians.
Hey.
Hey. Yeah, it's real. But you never know. You have to question everything, straight bullet. When other areas are $6 and then in Los Angeles it's 8, why would it be 8?
Joshua says, what isn't worse in California?
Exactly.
Oliver says, Mexican Spec, what did you think about my homemade brush able seam sealer?
Any way you can save money. I don't know anything about seam sealers. I've never used it, or I don't know. I don't know anything about them or what you would use it for. You welded it, so you welded the floor, right? So was there a reason you put seam sealer on top of that?
Cardona says, hopefully they've all seen the error of their ways and promise never to behave that way again.
We can cross our fingers, Barracuda.
Donovan says, you guys might have the OS I Quad Mexico.
What is that?
I don't know. Chevrolet says, "Is this a really expensive gas station?"
Yeah, and of course it's the one that they publicize.
Cool.
Cold.
I touched the metal. Mark says, "So a lot of the oil that comes into Quebec via the St. Lawrence Seaway comes into Montreal. We are 3-ish hours from Montreal, and the gas is more expensive in Montreal."
Shouldn't be.
Dr. Martin says, "Worst case, it could reach $10 for gas."
Yep.
Chevrolet says, "Barry."
And that's going to affect the price of everything in the country.
Surrender says, "Keep water and dirt out of the steam, I guess."
But you welded the piece in the floor, right? So the I don't know. Maybe I'm not understanding.
Mm.
Good night. Believe in yourself. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you for being here.
We appreciate it.
Thunderbird says, "Yeah, it's basically to seal the joints, especially overlap joints. Although I'm curious if Mexican cars got it because it seems like they try to keep Mexican cars as cheap as possible."
Well, if you're talking about old cars, I really don't know. I don't think so. The newer cars, they would do whatever they're doing everywhere else in the world on that same car. They're not going to change anything. Yep.
Thunderbird says, "Yes, I welded them, but it's mostly used as a way to seal any pinholes and stuff."
Oh, okay, okay. So it's a
Believe that
insurance policy.
Believe says, "It was my pleasure, and I appreciate you right back."
Well, we appreciate you appreciating us.
Mike says, "So Daniel, be careful, they might surprise you and go above the 10 a gallon."
It's crazy what's going on, especially in California. I don't know how people are able to continue living there, doing what they need to do with that kind of price. But I bet you they're still selling TRX trucks there that get 7 miles per gallon if you're lucky. Hellcat engine in a truck that isn't good for anything except accelerating.
Brenda Chunk says, "It's all getting out of control. Crazy lunatics starting wars."
Yeah, but I don't think that has anything to do with it. The oil companies or the gas stations are taking advantage of that and raising the prices because the tankers are getting through the Strait of Hormuz. So nothing is being stopped. So there shouldn't be any reason for the price to be going up. But they're going to take advantage of any way they can to make more money.
Thunderbird says, "The World War III live chat will be fire."
Got
Excuse you.
another one. Ah, test me, will you?
Miranda says, "I has gone up to $1 a gallon in the last month here."
It has gone up $1 from where it was. Yeah, that takes a lot of it out of people's budgets. So I wonder if gas guzzlers are going to be sold cheap like they did in the 70s. You know, sell a Hemi Cuda for nothing to buy a Toyota. I wonder if that's going to happen. I wonder if people are going to think like that. I mean, you're not. It's not like you can. You bought the car for $50,000. You're probably upside down in it, so things are different economically. Not like you could park your gas guzzler on the side of your house and go buy a $3,000 Toyota. It's not doable anymore.
Sorry. Mm,
Mark.
it's always the same. Gas prices settle, then something happens to help boost the gas prices. Then they never go back down to what it was before it started.
Mm-hmm.
Dara Morrissey says, "The mark, it could. A family member and other friends have been raised to 34,000 for homeowners insurance.
Wow. How much
Thunderbirds
is a house worth?
Thunderbird says, yeah, I've noticed the prices never go down to what they were. Very convenient. Thunderbird says, our dealerships here are selling trucks for 125,000.
Are people actually buying them at 125,000?
Chevrolet
That would be
says,
crazy.
Chevrolet says, there will be no World War III. Iran has zero support. It is only a matter of time before terrorists give up and scatter.
Unless they're doing that now.
And Dom GG is here.
Hello, Dom. Thanks for joining us.
And they say that I'm Marcy. I heard about you a time or two. Just someone
Do
says
you
this.
know Daniel?
Let's hope so. Sylvander says my friend is selling a 78 Chevette.
The Chevette never really got good gas mileage. It was so underpowered, you had to keep it to the floor constantly to keep up with normal traffic. So I'm not sure how good that'll do. A Chevette would not be my go-to car for anything. I've had too many of them. People bought them. I was buying them to resell them, and people bought them for some reason, but I don't know. If you gave me a choice between an 85 Chevette or an 85 Chevy Sprint that they were on the lot at the same time, I would definitely go for the Chevy Sprint, even though it's a Suzuki. Dom says, yeah, Daniel is a random guy that picked me up off the streets 20 years ago.
Are you kidding? Anyone says yes. Thunderbird says I love Chevettes.
How many Chevettes have you had, Thunderbird? You're going to wreck your dinner.
Ay, pues que tengo hambre y no me dejas comer.
You can wait.
No,
Yes.
tengo hambre. Déjame ir por mi salada.
We're coming up on 2 hours and 15 minutes.
The live is still on 1/3, on 2/3.
You can wait.
No.
Most economy cars were underpowered back then. Right, Josh, but the Japanese seemed to make one that could keep up with traffic.
Chevrolet says it will be fun to put a V8 on the Chevette.
I don't think it would. I mean, with the 4-cylinder, there's no room for your legs in the car. So a V8 would take up even more room than that.
Polygrapher says rather have Escort for gas saver.
If it was an Escort GT from 1991 to 1996, I agree with you, but not with the 1.9 engine.
And Dom Gigi says work with him back in the day in the oil fields for a guy named Uncle Sam. The number says non-lol, but I want one. Dan says
to believe me, Thunderbird, you do not.
Dan says my driver's ed wasn't a Chevette. Sorry.
You can't speed in a Chevette, so maybe that was a good thing.
Surrender says it was a little tin can, but I love my Ford Fiesta.
The Ford Fiesta was fine.
The number says, but I love the look of a Chevette.
Why?
Surrender
Buy a Volkswagen Rabbit.
The Fiesta was spunky. 1600cc.
Yep.
Chevrolet says, you drive from the backseat, Mexican. Yes, he does.
I'm always in the front.
Yes, he does.
I'm always in the front.
Anyway, says Phantom.
Remember that red Ford Ka that was on here? It's kind of like a Ford Fiesta, but much smaller, 2-seater. A friend of mine lives in Tennessee, and he imports cars from Japan. Well, he imported a Ford Ka, right-hand drive, in red, but it was a Japanese car, which means it has a sunroof and it has orange turn signals in the front, and it looks just a little bit different. And since they're both in Tennessee, I sent a link to Buff. I told Buff about it yesterday on the live, and he's like, "Why don't I have money?" So then I talked to my friend that had the car, and he's doing some work on it, and he put out a video today about him cleaning the car and fixing this and fixing that, and I sent that to Buff so he could see it. It's right in the same state as he's in, and he can't buy it.
You're
Of course,
so
of course, it
rude.
is right-hand drive, so he'd have to be shifting with the other hand. But
Steven Andrews says 2,500 in Washington Tibbert.
2,500 for what? Oh, I thought a Chevette.
The number says, I
Wow.
guess I have weird taste. I'd also prefer a 74 Charger over a 68 or 69.
It's for 74. Buy a Coronet. It's much cheaper and it's the same car.
Steven says on Craigslist. Dynamite says homes in Marin County, California. Go around where I grew up all over the board. If they need work, a fixer upper is 1 million or more. We have homes in Marin that go all the way up to 30 million.
That's crazy.
Triple says the Chevette is rear wheel drive.
Yes, it is.
Barracuda says Mr. Trump has said the American is pretty much self sufficient for oil, so why the prices raises them there?
Because the gas companies are taking advantage of it.
That says Duffield tires.
Yeah, that's the guy. That's the look the guy wanted for his Suburban. I would change it out. I bet they're expensive tires though. And of course, that's the best part of it right there. That thing sticking up from the floor. 350 under the hood with a 4-speed manual. Best part of the truck. I have to put the zapper down and for another mosquito to come near me.
Paco Alfa dice, bueno amigos, me gustaría seguir, pero tengo un cachorrito que está ladre y ladre, quiere cenar. Fue un placer estar aquí con ustedes, buenas noches.
Gracias, Paco.
Gracias por estar aquí, Paco.
Stick shift with power windows? That never happens.
Chevrolet says, we don't drill enough, Ari, we have plenty of oil.
YouTube. Thunderbird says to Dan, I got the floor pans replaced on my 77 F250. Just welded the door hinge I asked you about on Tony's live. So it's coming along. We didn't have F250s here. At least not the way you guys did. No 3/4 ton trucks here. The F200, there was an F100, which was a 6-cylinder, and the F200 was a V8. That's how we know them. Just like these Chevy trucks here, the 1500 was a 6-cylinder, the 2500 was a V8. That's how we know what's under the hood. Save it for next week.
No. No brother. Danny Boy says, nice, Thunderbird.
This is a 6-cylinder, I think, because it has the single headlight. It's a custom. It's not a Cheyenne.
What is that bug in your fur? He has a bug in his fur.
Well, get it.
I'm moving.
Aren't those the same wheels on the truck as there was on the Suburban? Same style, too? No, Thunderbird. No. The payload didn't change. It was just that there was a V8 under the hood. Well, the payload may have changed because it has a stronger engine, but they were all regular cab short beds, and the number on the side of the truck told you which engine was under the hood, not what suspension it had underneath. Not if it was a half ton or a 3/4 ton, and we didn't have any 1-tons. They did sell cabin chassis here. They had cabin chassis here, but I'm not sure if they were 3/4 ton or 1-ton. But they didn't sell complete trucks in the bigger models.
Who are you talking to?
Thunderbird.
Brando says the Chevette is pretty nice. 6,300, 63,000 miles. Nice interior, tempted myself.
Are you sure it's 63,000 miles? Because it's a 5-digit odometer.
Thunderbird says we had the F100 here too. I had 1974 F100 single cab long box 390 Ci.
See, that's a truck that would never have sold here because there was no long beds here and there was no big blocks. The engine we got in the 74 was the Mexican 302. Who's that?
No, no, it's not for me.
What's up?
Yes.
Why would anybody be sending
Daniel Morris says nice Chevy truck. Nice truck. Ay, el gato.
transport company?
Mm.
Telling me what kind of trucks they use. Now I just told them I need the quote so I can tell the customers. Probably stray bullet, but with many engines because they were just so underpowered. They were at the floor all the time. It didn't matter if it was a manual or an automatic. The manual didn't give you much more power. Thunderbird says, I'm really looking forward to having a Mexican 302, hopefully sooner than later. For the Mexican 302 roller lifter or flat tappet? That's a question for Dean Stevenson. He knows the engines inside and out. It's really hard to find information about them. But you got to figure it's a 1968 302, so I doubt it would be roller lifters. I don't think they had them back then, did they? Internally, it's a 68 engine.
Fernando says I rode in it when he bought it. Was definitely well cared for. He started off asking for 8,000. He came to his senses and now it's 2.5K.
Well, maybe he should put it on Bring a Trailer because they sell pretty well there for probably more than 2,500. There's no way a car would sell for 2,500 if it's really nice. If the miles match the condition of the vehicle, because the numbers on the dash don't indicate condition, low or high. I bought a lot of high mileage cars that were perfect inside and out because they were all highway mileage. It didn't matter, and low mile cars that were just beat to heck.
Thunderbird says, but maybe the what is freaking hard. But maybe the 80s ones might be rollers. I guess I'll find out sometime.
Right, but they didn't change the engine from the 60s into the 80s in Mexico. It was the exact same engine. And they stopped making Mustangs in 1984, so it never went past that. They never did the improvements that they did on the Mustang engines in the US with the fuel injection or with anything. So, but Dean would be able to answer that. He knows them. I mean, we said his name a few times. He hasn't shown up yet, so that's weird.
Divorce says Mark, we pay a ton of life in the Bay Area. Caliph, we all work too many days and hours. Trump raised health insurance. A lot of families are starting to pay 2,000 to 4,000 a month for health insurance. Yeah, he also stopped the medical services for a bunch of people.
That I don't know anything about.
I do.
Thunderbird. Remind me when Mexico started getting EFI on what? The trucks? I don't know. It would have been way late. For example, the 82 Ford Carryall I sold, a points distributor. It was 87 or 88 before they went to electronic ignition.
Mark says, okay, so pardon my ignorance, but I have a question. Is Spanish in Mexico the same as Spanish in Spain? Is it different or is it just a different accent like American and British? It's the same Spanish, but we do have so many colloquialisms and different words
And
that,
and we don't lisp.
yeah, it was a different accent altogether.
Yeah.
Uh, but we do have so many colloquialisms and different words that we use that are different from Spain that if you wanted to learn Spanish to visit Mexico, but you learn it from somebody from Spain, it wouldn't work. Like
No.
it will, you will barely go by.
Barely get by.
You get by. Um, so yeah, it's
when we hear somebody speaking from Spain speaking, it's clear where they're from because it's the only place I know that lisps
It's not just the list,
with the
though.
S's. Well, that's the huge
No.
flag.
Vegeta doesn't list.
Hmm?
Vegeta doesn't list.
I hear it. Yes, he does.
No.
Yes.
Barely. What do you have
Maybe he
for?
stopped because of what his job
No, it's
is.
because it's not from the area that does it. It's his accent. It's an area in Spain that has the list, not the entire country.
Thunderbird. Well, Mark, we know Quebec French and French is quite different.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, how about Louisiana French? Where does that fit in? Can you understand anybody talking there?
Mark says, okay, good to know.
We could probably talk to somebody from Spain, but they might be asking us what we mean, and we might be asking them what they mean with certain words.
Yeah.
But that's the same all over the country because we go down. We call it an automobile carro here, and they call it coche in Mexico City. There's a lot of different words being used in different areas of the country.
And I was going to make a joke about the list, but I won't.
I already know those jokes, Thunderbird, and said them many times when I hear that.
Mark says that's Creole. Sugar says, what about Cuban Spanish?
But Thunderbird, the whole country couldn't be that way, right? Because they wouldn't be making any babies. So
What?
I don't think the whole country is that way.
What?
You don't need to know.
Stop it!
Mrs. Spec, you're 100% correct.
On what?
Daniel says.
My girlfriend is in Boston. We have our own version of English.
Yeah, you guys don't like ours, do you? When you were in school, did you go to elementary school in Boston, buddy? Because I'm curious when children are in an elementary school in Boston and they get the books out, that the same books that we had in California, and the kids still end up saying the word car as ka. How does that happen? The book clearly has the CAR, and you have to learn the sound of the R. So how does it happen that the people still drop the R at the end of the word at the end of the word? I don't understand how that happens.
Um, Mark says, well, like a trunk in America and a boot in England.
Yes.
The number says Alex Jones is right about the water in Spain, I guess. Regular says reminds me of a 16-year-old girl for some reason.
What does?
Sugar says I like to try one of those Cuban sandwiches.
Isn't that a sandwich that's dipped in the sauce from the meat?
No sé, yo nada más conozco las tortas cubanas y si son realmente tortas cubanas, están buenas. No sé cuál es la
They're not
diferencia.
understanding you.
Qué lástima. Que practiquen español.
I put this one on here for the redness, but I don't think it's in nice enough condition to offer it for sale. Looks like the front end is taking some hits.
Sugar says and then smoke one of those Cuban cigars after.
Well, if you want to go to Cuba, you fly into Mexico. When we were sitting at Mrs. Beck and I were sitting in Mexico City, waiting for the flight back to our town here, there was a flight that was heading off to Havana, Cuba. So just fly into Mexico City, get on a plane there, and go right to Cuba.
Mark says I'm sure that's better than a Cuban necktie.
Oh, probably. I don't think you'd want one of those. But yeah, there's no restrictions from here to Cuba. I don't know what requirements there are. I know the US doesn't allow you to go there directly.
Robert, I see a lot of these cars with a dollar sign in the window. Is it like a for sale sign?
Yes, that's what it means that it's for sale. Because in the U.S. you're not allowed to park your car on the street with a for sale sign or in a parking lot or whatever. That's how people sell cars here.
We don't have that problem here.
No,
Mark says Canadian can fly to Cuba as well. Canadians
Canadians can
can
fly.
fly to Cuba as well. Robert says soon we won't have to do that.
Well, we'll see what happens. Does anybody like Cavaliers? This is a nice car. And again, V6 under the hood with a 5-speed manual transmission, which is the best configuration in these cars. This is a car that will last forever. The 2.8 will never give out on you. But why did these 2.8s have plenty of power, but the 2.8 in the Chevy S10 had nothing? Somebody needs to explain that to me when it's supposedly the same engine.
Thunderbirds likes old Cavaliers.
These were new when I was working on the car lot, the 1988s, and we sold the hell out of them. I got there in '87, so it was the square ones, and then we had the Z24, and we had the Type 10, and we had the RS convertible for 1987, and then the '88s came out, which was a completely rounded design and everything, and then they brought out all the special models too. It was always interesting to see what was coming off the truck, especially when the year model changed, to see what kind of cars were coming on the lot.
Body Carafana only like C24 Cavaliers.
Well, this has the engine and transmission from the Z24, and you have 4 doors, so you don't have to open the door for the kid.
Thunderbird's is lighter car. I guess is why the power difference.
How could a Cavalier be lighter than a regular cab short bed S10 truck? The truck has to be lighter. There's no weight in the back.
Mark says my sister had an '86 Cavalier XC24 with the 3.1. She dropped the life out of it.
With the 2.8, 3.1 didn't come in until much later. All of them had 2.8s in '86.
You always have to be right, don't you?
Yes, I do. I was on the lot when those were new. I know what was under the hood of them.
Well, the Carafana says looks like a sunbird.
Yeah, the Sunbird on the outside, the Chevy dash on the inside, which was much better. They mixed the two. Mark, did your sister's car have the digital dash in it?
Durandro says I see that all the time here in people's front yards or on the street with for sale signs.
But that's illegal. They're not allowed to do that. They're getting away with something.
Thunderbird said the truck would be full frame though, and the car would be unibody, right?
Yes. Okay, maybe that'll be a little bit of extra weight, but it wouldn't be that much of a difference. Look it up on Google. Say a 1987 Chevy Cavalier Z24 and a 1987 regular cab S10 short bed.
Dana Morris says dropping the R's is inherited from southern England in the 19th century. The accent was adopted by high society.
So why does that happen today in Boston? Boston.
Mark says not digital dash, but it was a 3.1.
It was not an '86 then.
90 maybe.
Because the 3.1 came out in '93, I think. '93.
Fernando says news to me.
Yeah, the government wants to control everything you do. If you're going to sell a car, they want you to put an ad out so they can track your phone number to see how many cars you're selling a year. It's all about control.
It surprises me how many different conversations you can keep up with.
And look who came in.
Hey, Buff Campo.
Hello, Buff. How you doing tonight?
My first gen S10 was with a 4-cylinder 4-speed, was 4,000 pounds with me in it and a half tank of gas.
Was it that heavy? Regular cab short bed? It didn't seem like that. We got those trucks on the lot called the EL, and then somebody had a bright idea to send them to a conversion company and lower them because they had no options on them. They were 4-speed, no air conditioning, nothing. So they figured, hey, we're going to sell it to kids anyway. So they lowered them and then sold them on the lot as new trucks, lowered. And then they would keep coming back, oh, the shock broke, or this happened, or that happened, and all kinds of problems with those little things. All kinds of problems. Not mechanical, but just from the lowering part of it.
Brenda Chuck says good day. Buff brother.
See, I put cars like this Century in here because this is a, 30-year-old car now. And look how clean it is.
Buff says regular cab.
Yeah. So they put the 4-cylinder in the regular cab short beds. There's a lot of these clean cars here. I'm sure you can find them in the U.S. too, but they're from older people that kept them in the garage and stuff. This is just a normal thing that people have here. Just clean cars. But like somebody mentioned that the investment in a vehicle here is is a lot. People spent a lot of money to buy this car, so they're going to take care of it as a general rule. They're not going to beat it up. They're not going to, you know, do anything like that. So they do keep them nice. That's why we can find a lot of them. Now this car I'd like to have for myself.
Fernando says, had an 82 S15 Jimmy manual transmission, should have kept it. Thunderbird says, looks like the S10 and the Cavalier were within 24 pounds, although the four-door truck was about 1,000 pounds heavier. Juan Campo says, I had several.
S10 four door. We're talking about the first generation Thunderbird. They didn't have four doors.
Juan Campo says, I had several of those Century four-door. Fernando says, Mario. Then Morse says, it's the culture one grows up in.
Buff, if you remember back then, what year was the first year for the S10 Blazer? Wasn't it 1983? Because the trucks came out in 82 and it took them another year to get the Blazer out there. So I don't think Steven could have had an 82 S15 Jimmy at the time, because the Jimmy was the same thing as the S10 Blazer, unless you had a truck, Steven. But I think they came out in 83 as the first year model.
Daniel says, we still have Ebonics.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's true.
Thunderbird says, Grandma Google says the single cab short box was 2,700 pounds.
Oh, so that's not a whole lot.
Mark says, yes, 1983. Stop moving around.
Look who's talking. You won't stop moving.
I can't stop moving. But you're making me nervous that the chair is going to break. And I'm right underneath you. Stray says, Bob isn't telling you that he weighed 350 pounds.
It would have been a lot more than that because there was 1,300 pounds difference, Stray Bullet. Not 300 pounds. He said it was 4,000 pounds with him in the truck. That sounded like a lot for an empty regular cab short bed 4-cylinder. I'd like one of these, at least one of these Cavalier Z24s too. I like the little covered headlights. With the 5-speed, of course. I don't have room for them, though. It was probably in 83, Steven, because that was the first year they brought them out. Although you may have gotten it in 82, because they were sold at the September of 82, right about then.
Steven says, I had a Blazer. I was pretty sure it was an 82, but then it's been 20 years. Buffalo Campo says, I was about 200 then. 200 is like 100 kilos?
Yeah, right around there.
Stribble says he probably had air conditioning and all of that.
In a 4-cylinder 4-speed? I seriously doubt it, Stray Bullet. They did not make loaded trucks with that engine and transmission combination. But when the 4.3 came out in the 88 model year, what a game changer that was for the S10 truck and the Blazer. My God. What a difference that made. We had a hard time getting rid of the 2.8 S10s and Blazers that were on our lot because everybody wanted the 4.3. We had to drop the prices considerably to get them off the lot. And then, of course, they came back for service. Mark says it's been a long time for that Cavalier. 94 does make more sense. Anyway, the 3.1 developed a chain rattle and was scared it would quit on her, so I traded my 99 Cavalier 2.2 for hers. Well, how long did it last with you? Because this body style here is the 93-94. The 86 was all square. Very, very square. Very different looking car. I'm partial to Pontiac anyway. So this Z24 is the perfect car. It's got the Pontiac on the outside and it's got the Chevy interior. I did not like the Pontiac dashboards. It was claustrophobic. The best of both worlds, of course.
Fernando says 2.8 V6 5-speed.
Mm-hmm. That's the perfect combination in one of these little cars. This little Cavalier will last forever. Just do your oil changes and you're done with it. Mark says, I drove it for quite a while, then gave it to my buddy, and he drove it forever until the chain broke. Then we replaced the valve, new chain, and went on again until it rotted. What chain was it? Was that a timing chain? Thunderbird says, I see McDonald's in the background. I Spy World Champion of 2004.
Wow.
That was in a previous one. What year did they stop selling Ram Chargers in the US? That was 1993. This is a 1994 model, and they sold it for 2 more years after this.
Versus timing chain.
Okay, so was it just the, what do they call it? The thing that leans against the chain that was making the noise?
Brenda Chung says that's nice.
Why would they take a picture like that? Just to show you it has headlights? Or how shiny the grill is?
That is not broken?
This is a dealership that's doing this.
Both the Campos says to straight bullet, noisy.
Not in the 4 cylinders. Especially not in the S10s. It was the entry level truck. And we did sell a lot of them. But for just a little bit more, they could have had the air conditioning and the V6.
No.
Because when they started putting the 4.3 in the S10s, I remember the fully loaded extra cab S10 trucks were $13,000 with the 4.3 and all the power accessories, power windows, power locks, cruise control, stereo system, everything in there. $13,000 for that truck.
Marcel says, yeah, the chain guide wore away and the chain will slap the cover.
Okay.
Strobel says the roof doesn't come off.
Nope.
Robert says the seatbelt on the door seems dangerous for some reason.
That's the way it was made, though.
Regula says world champion. Wow. You heard something?
Thought I heard him doing that.
No.
This is a Ram Charger Limited, which is why it has this leather interior with the velour inserts. But you'll notice on the steering wheel, there's no cruise control. Where that bottom thing is down there, no cruise control and no airbag. That's the Mexican spec.
The says it's February 21, 2026. Jack in the Box turned 75 years. February 21, 1951, San Diego, California.
I haven't eaten at one of those places in so long.
Of the Campo says my S10 was a basic truck. After I waited, I understood why it was so slow.
Why was it so heavy though, Buff?
Joe says 4-wheel drive, Buff?
No.
Both the Campo says 2-wheel drive. Fernando says you get a nice trophy, Thunderbird.
The interior is really nice in this top of the line Ram Charger. 2-wheel drive though. Yep, 74 to 93, but they went for 3 more years in Mexico to 96, and then 97, 98 they didn't have one, and then 99 to 2001 were the ones that I sell. The second gen. I mean, you got to buy this. The rear shocks work, if for no other reason. I like this color better though. I don't know, between this one, this is an automatic though. Between this one, the purple, and the red, because my first Pontiac Sunbird was red, carmine red. I don't know what I would go for.
Bodyguard friend says sister had Ford Tempo with automatic seatbelts. Hated them.
That was before when they were mandated, you had to have some kind of some passive, what do they call that?
Mm.
Passive security system or something.
Mark says, LMAO, don't tell Mrs. Beck I'm having hot dogs. I want hot dogs.
She's reading the comments, Mark. You bought ham, not hot dogs.
Oh, but I want hot dogs.
And you already had ham today. Thunderbird. No, I didn't. Although when I was a kid, I remember being upset I won first place because I thought the bigger number was the better. Oh, you were upset you won first place because you didn't know it was the best.
Joel says we didn't have the hatch.
On what? On the Ram Chargers? Yes, you did.
Restraint. But Joel says restraint.
Passive restraints. Yeah, that's right.
Surrender says passive restraint.
Yeah, that's what it was called. Now this car is an automatic, which I would not want, but I like the color. And look how clean it is under the hood of these cars. Jeez, none of my cars are this clean ever. $2,000 Dodge Ram Charger. Speak of the devil.
What?
I'm feeling something touching me.
Not touching you. Not touching you.
Didn't say you were.
Yeah.
This is a base model Ram Charger. The up one from this would have been SLT. Then the top one is SLT Plus with the leather interior and velour and stuff like that. No, Stray Bullet. It was the exact same thing that was shown here. You're talking about the late 70s. But no, the 93 was made in Mexico alongside that Ram Charger and was sold in the US the exact same. Exact same. Chili's cheese dog, please. Mm. This one's an automatic, but the interior is nice.
Can anyone confirm if the
and no power seats?
What is the restaurant with the star?
Carl's Jr.
If Carl's Jr. chili cheese fries are good?
You've never had them?
No.
Do you want to try them?
I want to ask if they're good.
Has anybody had them? Chili cheese fries from Carl's Jr.? Well, that brake pedal's pretty worn out.
Are they worth it?
Well, they're not worth it. Of course, they're not worth what they're charging. Have you guys seen fast food places put out a tip jar for what they do? They take your order and they want you to give them a tip for taking your order. They don't have it at McDonald's here, but they do in Carl's Jr.
They don't have a tip jar, but they have a jar for you to donate money.
Yeah, they've always had that for the Ronald McDonald House. Yes, Mark, are you talking about the chili cheese fries? Why is the dog crying out there?
Because there's another dog out there. Thunderbird says, ever heard of a sneaker dog? It's a Snickers bar in a hot dog bun, battered and then deep fried. I think
that's a whole bunch of stuff I cannot eat.
George Thomas says not yet. This is not on the fries.
That's a whole bunch of stuff, Thunderbird, that I'm not allowed to eat.
Pergola says in New Zealand, a hot dog is a deep fried battered savory sausage on a stick.
That's like a corn dog, though.
Mark says no, the tip jar.
Oh, okay, the tip jar. They asked me at Carl's Jr. up in Hermosillo, you want to leave a tip? I said no. I'm getting pretty American here.
So it says I could eat around 3
Wiener Schnitzel.
Thank you. Chili cheese dogs right now.
Is Wiener Schnitzel still around?
Fernando says that's a corn dog up here.
When I was living in the Los Angeles area, in the Valley area, there was a place called Lawyer Dog, and it was a lawyer that got tired of being a lawyer, and he opened up hot dog stands all over the Valley area, and they were really, really good. I mean, nothing like they serve here, I mean, they'll just hand you a hot dog in a bun, and you put your ketchup or mustard on or whatever. It's nothing like what they show here. Did you guys see the short that I put up?
I was gonna ask you about that.
Yeah, I put it on my community page. It showed it showed them making the hot dog for Mrs. Spec the other week or last week, wasn't it?
Last week.
Last week, and all of the stuff they put on it because the one hot dog is a complete meal.
They didn't have any lettuce, unfortunately.
No lettuce.
Fernando says, yes, I saw one of those jars the other day.
Stole it.
Fernando says, yeah, whatever they called it is still around.
Okay, Der Wiener. Yes, Der Wiener Schnitzel. Wiener Schnitzel.
Margaret says, any corn actually work in both?
Yeah, because the coating is corn, isn't it?
The batter is made out of corn.
Yeah, the batter. I don't know if I can eat it. I don't know what they make that out of.
No, you cannot eat it.
No. But I posted the thing on the short on my community page to show how that Mrs. Spec recorded how they made it and everything they put on it, and then she puts a bunch of other stuff on it after they're done, and you build it up to it's a whole meal, which is the same thing at the taco places. They give you just the taco, with the tortilla with the meat on it, and then they have a whole bunch of stuff on the plate on the table, your guacamole and your vegetables and everything else, and you build it up.
You're making me hungry. I'm leaving you.
You build it up so the one taco that you pay for fills you up completely, so you don't have to spend for another one.
Mark says there's a place outside Ottawa that's called Law and Orders.
Not the same thing though. This guy's, this was back in the mid '80s, so probably not around anymore.
That emergency says yes. Burger King has done tips going through the drive-through here sometimes.
What are you tipping them for though? They're getting over $15 an hour to work there.
Do not spit on your food. That emergency says yes, Barry. There is ground corn batter on the outside. Fernando says, how big are these buns? Margarita says, that sounds good. Yeah, I know. He's making me hungry.
Well, you gotta the hot.
Can I go get my salad?
No, we're almost done.
We are done.
The hot dog is not a beef hot dog, so you got to take that into consideration. What they put in there is birds. It doesn't say what kind of birds, just birds. And then they wrap it with bacon, and then they cook it on the stove. No, the fryer thing.
No, it's not a fryer. It's
not a stove either.
It's
a griddle. It's a griddle. They heat them up on there, so you got your hot dog and your bacon wrapped around it, and then they put that, and then she puts a piece of ham in there first.
And cheese.
And no, she puts the ham, a piece of ham in. There was cheese inside the ham.
Inside the hot dog.
She put a piece of ham, a folded piece of ham, complete, big piece of ham, in the bun. Then put the hot dog and the bacon on top, and then your mayonnaise and your mustard and your ketchup and everything like that. And then Mrs. Spec put all of her other things on there, like the chili and the cheeses. There's 3 different kinds of cheeses in there.
Avocado, tomato.
Avocado, yeah, all of that lettuce. Stuff. And it turns into a meal for 50 pesos. That's how things are here.
Now that you made me hungry.
Well, since Mrs. Spec is gonna go make me some food before she gets to eat anything.
No,
yes.
No, yeah. No. You said you didn't want to eat anything.
Yeah, that was 2 hours ago.
I don't care.
So
you didn't want to eat anything. It's not my responsibility anymore.
Yes, it is.
No.
So we're gonna say goodnight, guys.
Public Double wants to know if there's corn fender tips.
Yes, on the '68 Impala. This is Mexico.
Thunderbird says someone ordered Mrs. Spec a hot dog.
We can't do that. We have to walk to go get it.
There is Uber Eats.
And it's too late.
There's Uber Eats.
No, it's too late.
There's Uber Eats.
No, I'm not paying them. It's too late to do that anyway. It's a whole meal, buddy. You get your vegetables, you get your cheese, you get your ham, hot dog, bacon. You get everything all at one time. So anyway, good night, everybody.
It's like a hot dog and a salad at the same time.
Yeah. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for being here, guys. We'll see you next
very
Saturday.
Soon. We'll see you on Tuesday on Buffs Live.
I'll see you on Saturday. Bye, guys.